Chapter 1 Preliminary Section 1 to 4. According to the provision of Transfer of Property Act 1882, all interest in the property restricted in its enjoyment to the owner personally cannot be transferred by him. This statement is true. X married to Y, but in case C dies in his lifetime, he would transfer the property to Z. X and Y, while placing together, under the circumstances which make it impossible to prove that C died before him, the disposal of the property in the favor of Z does not take effect. Transfer of Property Act 1882 covers both movable and immovable property. The Transfer of Property Act was enacted in the year 1882. Within the meaning of Section 3 of Transfer of Property Act, the immovable property does not include only standing timber, growing crops, and grass. Actionable claims are share in the company. Which one of the following is not an actionable claim? Right to claim deceitful sum. Deceitful sum is a document given by the Pope. Under Section 3 of Transfer of Property Act, the instrument is defined as a non-testamentary instrument. Whether a judgment is binding in a suit A and B that hold that A has purchased the immovable property from B, is a judgment in personam. Under Section 3 of Transfer of Property Act, the following does not amount to notice. Registration where the instrument is not compulsory registrable. According to Transfer of Property Act, instrument means a non-testamentary instrument. Which one of the following is not included within the term living person provided under Transfer of Property Act 1882? Ideal. Transfer of Property Act 1882 became applicable from 1st July 1882. Match. Machinery attached to earth, the movable parts thereof. Debt and other actionable claim. Securities, money, interest, house, easement annexed herewith. Attested in relation to the instrument means and shall be deemed always have been attested by at least two witnesses. Assertion. Property is comprehensive terms and include copyright. Reason. Transfer of property deal with all kind of property including patent. A is true and B is false. Immovable property does not include timber. True. Which one of the following statement is correct? Transfer of actionable claim, where with or without consideration, shall be effected only by the execution of an instrument in writing. An unborn person acquired vested interest in the property on immediately on birth. Which one is not a immovable property? Growing crops. As per TPA, provision of immovable property shall include none of these. Term holding include all of the above. Payee, bearer, endorsed. Under Transfer of Property Act 1882, the term attested means attested by no two or more witnesses. Under Transfer of Property Act 1882, the term registration means registration of documents. Under Section 3 of Transfer of Property Act 1882, immovable property include none of these. An instrument as defined under Section 3 of Transfer of Property Act means a non-testamentary instrument. Doctrine of election come under Chapter of Transfer of Property Act 1882. 2. Under Transfer of Property Act 1882, a person is said to have notice of a fact when he actually knows the fact. Which one of the following section of Transfer of Property Act deal with notice? Section 3. Privy Council decision of Tilak Dhari Lal versus Khadan Lal related to Section 3 of Transfer of Property Act. According to Hoffield analysis of right, the right to transfer one's property is power and liberty. Trust is an example of right in re aliena. Following is not a immovable property. Royalty. Immovable property does not include all of these. Which one of the following pairs is not correctly matched? A. Immovable property. Which one is correctly matched? Charge, Section 100. Marshalling by subsequent purchaser, Section 56. Mortgage date, Section 134. Which one of the following are immovable property under Transfer of Property Act? Equity of redemption, hurt, mortgage debt. Transfer of property does not contemplated. Notice in transaction. Which one of the following is not an immovable property? Right to worship. Which one of these immovable property as per the provision of Transfer of Property Act 1882? Fruit trees. An instrument of transfer of annexation valid where instrument is signed by two witnesses who have seen executing signing the same and who sign in later presence. Which one of the following is not immovable property? Standing timber. According to Section 3 of Transfer of Property, instrument means non-testamentary instrument. Standing timber under Transfer of Property Act are not immovable properties. Instrument under Transfer of Property Act means a non-testamentary instrument. For valid attestation of instrument under Transfer of Property Act 1882, it is necessary that each attesting witness must sign instrument in presence of executant. Which one of the following does not come under immovable property as Transfer of Property Act? Sale of ceiling fan. Which among the following cannot transfer the immovable property? Natural guardian of a minor. Which one of the following properties has not been recognized by the court as immovable property? Right to worship. Which one of the following is immovable property? Profit pendere. Fraudulent transfer has been defined under which section of the Transfer of Property Act? 52. The principle of part performance has been given under which section of Transfer of Property Act? Section 53A. The chapter and the section of Transfer of Property Act which relate to contract shall be taken as a part of contract as supplemented to the Sale of Good Act. Opinion of third person under Section 50 of Indian Evidence Act 1872 is not relevant when the matter is related to offence of the IPC 1860 under Section 494, 495, 497, 498. The provision of Transfer of Property Act applies to the transfer of immovable property mostly. However, some provision apply to immovable as well as movable property. Subject matter of the transfer by way of sale under Transfer of Property Act B, only immovable property. Things embedded in the earth have been included under Transfer of Property Act defined as attached to earth. Who may make rules consistent with the provision of Transfer of Property Act? The state government. Principle of election relating to the property is provided under Section 35. Principle of marshalling and contribution is a principle under Law of Transfer of Property Act which is related as a matter of securities. Which amongst the following is immovable property as per Section 3 of Transfer of Property Act? Food tree. Rule against perpetuity given under Transfer of Property Act 1882 does not affect the rule of Mohammedan law. Which one of the following is not an immovable property? A decree which is given right to sell the immovable property to the husband. Immovable property of husband. Transfer of Property Act came into existence on 1st July 1882. Transfer of Property Act has no relation with all of these: air, water, light. Which one of the following property is transferable under Transfer of Property Act? Actionable claim.